Hello, beautiful. Who am I doing next? Capricorn. Sorry, Cappies. Welcome to the Divine Dojo. If you haven't been here before, my name is Gabriela, and I am here to do your reading for the week of April 30th through the May 6th. So we have a lot going on this week, but the good news is that of course the sun is in Taurus, an earth sign like you, and we have all planets direct except for Pluto that will retrograde on Sunday. But other than that, we have Mercury out of shadow, we have Mars out of shadow, and we have Jupiter coming out of shadow by the weekend. So everything will be out of shadow and it's all systems go. And Cappies, you've had a hard time this past couple of years, right? And it's time to change the chapters, time to, for all of us, right? For the whole collective, it's time to turn the page and start a new chapter and move on for things. I've been doing a lot of readings, and the collective, not only in the collective, but, personal reads have gotten a lot of thank you, Spirit, for all of these cards. Yeah. Like I said. So the whole collective has gotten the world card at some point. But I think definitely for you and the cardinal signs, I think have had a bad run. And when I say bad, I don't mean that everything has been bad. It's just, things are changing in your life. And I think they're changing for the good, for the whole collective, hopefully. And it all depends on you and how you view things. So it's all up to us, right? Personally speaking. So what we think, where our attention goes, energy flows. So if we're thinking negative or that nothing's changing, well, guess what? You're going to get more of that. And you have to apply and really this week focus on what you want to. Sorry, I need to take a sip of coconut water. So good. I have like my plethora. I have water, coffee, and coconut water. It's a thing. Anyhow, what else did I want to say? Yeah, so where our attention goes, our energy flows. So Sunday, Pluto goes retro in Aquarius. Monday is a great day. Mercury sextiles Jupiter. And then Tuesday, Venus sextiles Pluto. So we have a lot of good energy going on right now. On May 2nd, the moon conjuncts Chiron in Aries. So this might bring up like wounds related to our identity or asserting our needs. If we don't assert what we need from other people, from our jobs, from friendships, all of that, we might, that might be an issue coming up on the 2nd. Today, the moon is in Cancer, Mars is in Leo, sextile Pluto. The moon will move into Leo tomorrow, I believe. So good energies. And, your fellow counterpart sign, it's always Capricorns, like the Taurian energy is what I have found. So I did pull some cards, and I got the Five of Wands reverse, the Nine of Swords upright, the Magician, beautiful, the King of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, excuse me, the Hangman, the King of Cups, and then the Chariot. Yeah, so this to me is like, the Five of Pentacles, maybe sometimes when we're in a bad place, or we're going through stuff and there's stuff that's unsettled or unfinished, where you just, because we're so tired, we've had such sluggish and dense, slow planetary energy for the past 5 months. You know, the collective and individually, we are all tired, right? And so we don't want to be involved in any more conflict, and we might avoid conflict. You know, we might just be like, whatever, and, you know, avoid hard conversations. You know, we might be out of touch with people, and, you know, disconnected. And, you know, I think this has been a lot of worry, fear, depression, possibly even tied with maybe a disconnection, or, you know, not feeling, or you're feeling tired and, you know, not wanting to battle anymore. But the good thing is that we have a positive outlook coming out, you know, out here. And the magician is, you know, has everything in their power, right in front of him, right? But just like I'm sitting at my table, he has the table with the cup, the pentacle, the swords, and the wands. So this to me is a message that says we always have everything in our power to change either the way we're thinking, or, you know, change in our situation physically. We always have everything within us and in our power to change, you know, the difficulties, and transmute the relationships or the conflict, or maybe it's about seeing it, you know, in a different way. And I love that you have the Knight of Pentacles. You know, it's all Capricorns are obviously are hard workers, and, you know, they're the goat that loves to climb to the top. You know, you definitely are not shy about putting in the hard work and seeing things through. But are you putting it, what are you putting it in? Is it in the right space? Is it in the right relationships? What are you putting your hard work and energy into? And I think maybe that's what all of this conflict, is there a conflict within yourself? And conflict doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's always with outside people, right? It can be the conflict within ourselves that we have. You know, we think we don't have the power or the magic within us to change our circumstances. But, you know, if we put in the hard work and look at things from a different perspective, and come from an emotionally balanced place, to me, it just tells us, you know, that there's movement. It's time to go. It's time to make some choices. It's time to make a change, right? The Chariot is about progress, taking action, and this is the perfect week to take action, aligned action, and having that determination to change, you know, these circumstances that we, whether it's conflict within us or conflict outside of us, you know, it's up to us, and we have the power to change the circumstance more than you think. You know, this is like a lot of mental energy, and the mental is exhausting, right? It's one thing to be physically exhausted, but it's another thing to be mentally exhausted, which can, in my opinion, can be more draining. You know, physically exhausted, you can just rest and like let your body recoup and recover, and you're usually okay for the next day. The mental exhaustion takes a toll on us, right? It's that stress, it's that worry. It just creates blockages in us, and especially if we don't move our bodies and we don't move the energy, which this is telling me it's time to take action to move towards whatever it is that you want to achieve and pursue, and you know, change in your life. So let's get some, all in all, beautiful cards. You know, everything is pretty much upright except that Five of Wands, which just tells me that we're, you know, we're just avoiding conflict within ourselves, or seeing the conflict that we have within ourselves or with other people. How can Capricorn, what advice can we give Capricorn? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we got the King of Pentacles, the Lovers reversed, and then the Three of Wands reversed. Hopefully you're seeing this. Yeah, I think this is more personal than, it's feeling like it's more personal than outward, more of a conflict within, right? Um, because you're definitely this King of Pentacles. You know, you maybe you've mastered, you know, your money and security, and you've had discipline and abundance, and you have all of that. But you know, maybe in relationships, you're not doing so well, right? Maybe in other, outside of like work, you're not, you know, you're having this conflict either within yourself or in relationship. And this has, the lovers also has to do a lot with self-love, right? Where are you not loving yourself? Where are you, you know, taking yourself for granted, whether in a relationship or not, right? Yeah, because this is, to me, it's like you're misaligned, you're suffering, and you know the suffering is, a lot of our suffering is all mental, right? Are we really suffering in this world? Yes, there is suffering in the world, but are we suffering? You know, in, I don't know where you're watching from and what have you, but you know, I have a roof over my head and clean water and food and you know, shelter and you know the basics and necessities, and you know I am not suffering. So you have to look at like, why are you creating the suffering within this worry within yourself, right? Because it's, maybe you're playing small, maybe you don't want to be seen, maybe there's a lack of planning, which doesn't, you know, usually doesn't coincide with Capricorns. Cappies are usually planners, and you know they look into things, and you know, maybe you've had delays or obstacles with your goals, and you're just, you know, you're just in your head, and you're just kind of tired of battling, you know, and dealing with the obstacles and, you know, the slow movement. But to me, it looks like, you know, things are going to be moving forward. You just have to start looking at things from a different perspective, and maybe looking at other people's perspectives too, not just your own, right? Other people, listen, we don't have to agree with somebody, right? But we can respect wherever it is that they're coming from. I know, like, let's say, for instance, for an example, with 2020, I know a lot of people that didn't agree with and still don't agree with the things that I was saying during 2020, you know, and it's okay. I followed my own path, and I'm glad I did, because it turns out, you know, that the things that I was saying, you know, turned out to be correct. And it is not to say like, oh, I was right, but you know, I followed my heart and I listened to my inner guidance, and I respected how other people felt, but a lot of people didn't respect how I did. So maybe it's about you know, looking at things from a different perspective and other people's perspective too, and respecting where they are coming from. Beautiful. Let me just, what can Capricorn, that flew out. What can Capricorn, yeah, I mean, it's up, you know, this flew out and I'm going to take it, but it's just like, are you, you know, living in regret? Are you looking at the cups that are just spilt and like what hasn't happened? Like what that, you know, you're thinking like you wasted your life away, or what could have been. Well, whatever, fuck it, you know, it's done. What can you do now, right? Like you have 2 cups right there that are waiting and they're full. You just have to turn around, or you know, and or look, you know, at in a different way, right? You just have to, yeah, it's just, maybe it's a negativity, and this is the Scorpio card, right? So we have a lot of the 9s, 3s. Oh no, the Lovers is a 6. Yeah. What my original question that I was going to ask is, how can we help Capricorn what advice can Capricorn receive from Spirit to move forward in their lives, and maybe look at things in a positive way and not look at like what has been lost, right? What can you look forward to? What can you be grateful for right now in this present moment, and stop thinking about the past? You know, do you have food? Do you have shelter? Do you have clothes? Do you have a car? Do you have, right? Do you have, you know what? Look at it and be grateful for those things, because this is the advice, is the 10 of Cups, but it's reversed, right? So yeah, and I think it's just a feeling of like shattered reality in a way, right? You maybe the life you thought you were going to have, you don't have, and it didn't pan out the way you expected. But that's okay, because what are you going to do? You know, not continue living? No, it's time to move on, and it's time to come to an emotionally balanced place so you can move forward in life. One more advice card, please, for Capricorn. Yeah, this is a lot of sadness, but with a lot of good energy. It's like you're definitely a hard worker. You definitely are ready to move on, but you have to realize within yourself that, you know, you probably do have monetary security, but you're looking at like, well, where has that, you know, where has that gotten me? Maybe, I don't know, right? I'm secure in that sense, but everything else maybe is not panned out. So yeah, I mean, this is the advice, you know, the 10 of Swords, the hard ass part is done, you know, it can't get any worse, right? So, but it's also, it's time to, you know, recover and move on. This is reversed, but it's time to move on and stop looking down and look up, because there is potential for happiness. But I think with like when we resist, you know, things persist. Whatever we resist persists, right? So if we're just hanging on to a relationship that we've known for, you know, years, decades, even some people, that, you know, we should have been out of it, it's hard, right? It's hard stuff, but like, why are you still there, right? You can't resist what is inevitable, in my opinion. It's just taking the action steps to actually finally like move on, or say this is done, you know, and start taking action steps to finish it. And start looking at the positive, like try to be more in the present instead of being in this lost, you know, looking back type of energy. Because you do have, you know, the Magician, the Lovers, yes, it's reversed, the 10 of Cups, you have the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, the King of Cups, you know, coming from an emotionally balanced place, instead of looking at things just, you know, from not balanced type of way, right? And it's hard where we're in the thick of it. I get it. I totally get it. It's super hard when we're in the thick of our problems, right? So my suggestion is to just day by day and focus on what is going right and what is positive, and the future, and get excited actually about the future and what it holds, and stop looking towards the past and thinking about like what has been, what could have been, what is lost. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is another Scorpio card. It's like, again, it's cute. It's like nostalgic and living in the past and happy memories and, well, and, you know, thinking about all those happy times. And yes, you've been through it and you wish you could go back maybe to those times. Well, that time is done. That time is done. People have moved on, you know, yes, it's great to reminisce and think about those things. But what can you do? Those are memories, right? It's time to create new happy memories. It's time to create new relationships, new friendships, and look towards your future in a positive light. I like that as the ending, because it's just, even though it's about, you know, childhood memories, innocence, joy, nostalgia, wanting the familiar, that world is kind of, it's gone. You know, a lot of people are like, when are we going to go back to normal? Well, after 2020, there's no going back to normal. And let me tell you, it's only going to get more, I don't want to say chaotic, but there's only going to be more changes coming up, especially with the astrological aspects, because we have most of the planets that have been in the feminine energy signs and energies, they're moving into masculine signs. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fire and air. So the world is going to get really loud here in the next couple of years, you know. So yeah, I think the best advice is to think of the positive. I'd like to pull a, I want to, I'm going to pull something from the Wisdom of the Oracle. I think something beautiful can come out from this deck that will be helpful and beneficial, and we can read the messages in there. Spirit, what would you like to tell Capricorn, Spirit? What would you like to let Capricorn know, Spirit? What do they think you? I don't know if you saw that fly, but higher power, beautiful card. I don't know if you can see it. This ring light seriously has like a really reflective situation going on. Higher power. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Cappies, you really have to tap into your inner self. You know, sometimes we are so beaten, battered, and torn, right, with life. And when we're looking at things in such a negative way of like, what could have been? Oh, happy memories. I wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, I wish I could go back to those times. Those times are over, you know, and it's beautiful to think about them and reminisce, but it's time to tap into your magic, into your inner wisdom. I mean, I love that the key is in the third eye, and then there's a face in like the solar plexus in the belly area, because that's where we hold most of our power, right? The belly, the gut, is our first brain, in my opinion. Not this one is just causes us fucking so much drama. Anyhow, I will read the message for this, but I love this card. It's just so soft and pretty and pink and purples. I love that, pretty and pink. Let's see. I'm gonna read that, but I'm gonna pull, and you know what? I am gonna pull a archetype card. Oh, there's too many. Oh, interesting. Spirit doesn't lie. Spirit does not lie. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. The Siren, and look at the color scheme. You know, here you had like a lot of dark colors. You know, a lot of yellow, obviously, but a lot of like dark. You know, this one's not that dark, but you know, you had a lot of dark energy going on, and I love this one. This, like, what is the call? You know, the siren's call. you know, the myth about the ships that hear the call of the siren. What is that for you? What is calling to you within you? You know, what is calling to you? It's time to heed that call, and I love that it's like a cosmic egg, like a blood red egg. So this is definitely feminine energy, super feminine energy, obviously. And it's good to mention that we have Lilith in Scorpio. So this is a great time to go within and really tap into your magic. Bring this back to yourself. Create it somehow. Bring that joy, that innocence, that sweetness, that like cuteness. It's just so cute. I love this card, right? The Six of Cups, and bring that to yourself. You know, you have the power within you to create this happy life that you feel like you missed out on, right? And maybe what you thought you supposed to be your happy life, or you know, maybe that's changed. Maybe, you know, that's people change, right? And what we think we wanted when we were younger is not exactly what we want when we're older. So yeah, beautiful. I might read both of them. So I'm going to pull an Akashic Records card, an Oracle card, and an angel number, and then read these. Give me one clear message for Capricorn Spirit. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah. This makes sense. Yeah. Look at what came out. The victim mindset. It says, you feel the world is against you, and this will only cause you to attract more negative results. Where energy goes, or where, you know, what you think about is true. You know, we think we can't do it, then we can't do it. We think we can, then we will. Stop the blame and take responsibility for your happiness. What was I saying? Tap into yourself and tap into your inner resources, that inner kid, you know, that maybe you weren't allowed to be, or maybe you feel like you didn't get to experience, and bring that inner child out and have it come and play, right? It says only then, stop the blame and take responsibility for your happiness. Only then will abundance start to flow. Beautiful. I agree. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Let's pull an angel number and we'll call it a day for your reading, Cappies. Oh, this was a heavy one, but you know, sometimes life is just lifing, and we think it's going to go one way and then it goes totally another way. But a lot of times we know, right? We know, but we just hang on and we grip because we don't want things to change. Or we love the familiarity. You know, we love the devil we know, right? Well, this is good. Angel number. It says 0550. It says the eye candy. Well, maybe that's what the siren's call is. I don't know. That, you know, take whatever resonates for you and your particular story. But it says take a break to enjoy fresh air or gather with friends for a delightful time. Appreciate the natural beauty around you waiting to be discovered. You may soon start an exciting new project or enjoy a charming date. Use your charisma to connect with others and create meaningful interactions wherever you go. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's time to, you know, get out there if you've been single for a while, or, you know, newly single. I mean, maybe, you know, obviously you need time to heal. If you haven't done any healing work, definitely heal yourself. But you have free will. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. you know, maybe it's time to do something different and, you know, start networking and meet new people. Maybe the old people that you're hanging out with is, you know, not vibing anymore or what have you. So I'm going to read the higher power one. That's beautiful. You know, I pull cards all the time, and that one doesn't come out all that much. It says, essential meanings, conscious contact with higher power, the presence of the divine, seeing source energy in all things, committing to a partnership with spirit. That's beautiful. Says the oracle's message. This card reminds you that you are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen for yourself and others. You have an immortal soul and are gifted with a human life through which a higher power can express itself. At this time, you need to be conscious of your connection to spirit and foster it through prayer and meditation. Ask, what is the highest good for all? I love that. I say that all the time. I say a prayer, and then I say this, or, you know, the best for everybody, all parties involved, or the highest good of all. How can I serve? Then get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. Right? Then get out of your own way and trust that there is a plan for your life, more wondrous than you can ever know. You are always protected and divinely directed. I wholeheartedly believe that. I'm going to read the protection message because I think that's what you need to. Now is the time to examine what you are giving energy and attention to in the back of your mind. Spirit doesn't lie, and I felt that the protection message was more relatable to this reading, but you know, it all applies. In the back of your mind, if you're obsessing about being right, about old resentments or failed expectations, about money, about other people, places, or things, these will be the source from which you create. But you want spirit to be your source. Take heart, for your higher power will never desert you and is always waiting for you to remember the sacred partnership you share. Turn away from other sources of power that don't serve. Turn away from other sources of power that don't serve you or your highest good. There is no greater source than spirit. You can always surrender your troubles and trust that they will be taken care of. You are in good hands. And that's your hands along with spirit, right? We gotta co-create what we want in our lives, right? And people, when we say, oh, we are the co-creators, and they're like, oh, I co-created abuse, I created this, I created that, it's like, no, but maybe, you know, that particular thing, especially when we're younger, was necessary for your growth, right? Yeah, so when you actively and are consciously co-creating with spirit, there's a difference, right? And then I'm gonna read the siren. I love that. Where XV. Sorry guys. Bear with me while I find the page. I can usually find them pretty quickly. Wait, hold on. Here we go. The siren, the temptress, the seducer, the femme fatale. Says the siren calls and the world spins. What we thought we wanted pales in comparison to the sweet allure of her song. We find ourselves lost in a spell of desire and longing, perhaps even lust. Whether the thing calling to us is ultimately good or bad, it is somewhat irrelevant. It's the journey that matters. And the work of the siren is to take us on a deep psychic descent. Following her song, we go down, down, down to a place where lessons are learned and courage must be rallied to find our way back to dry land. Try as we might, resisting the call may not even be an option unless, like Odysseus, we bind our hands to the mast of our ship. It's likely, though, that falling for her call is the only way we will come to live more fully on the surface. Answer the call. What is calling to you? You know, there are no bad roads, right? You know, I think that's you know, some people are dealt a shitty hand, some people are dealt an okay hand, some people are dealt a really good hand, whatever, right? It's just our path to whether we think we've made a bad decision or we think we've, you know, gone down the wrong path for, you know, whether it be a year, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. That's life. We can always change. There's, you know, you still have more life to live. So, a beautiful reading. It's just a matter of getting out of our own way and out of our head and start creating and start moving our asses, right, towards what it is we want, and stop reminiscing about like what could have, should have, would have been, right? It's not, you know, and maybe, just maybe, life will actually throw you in a different direction, way more beautiful and wonderful and fantastic and magical than you ever thought. So yeah, so that's for this week. Answer the call, follow whatever is calling you this week, and yeah, love you, Cappies. I'm gonna clear the energy because that was a heavy one. I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I will see you next time. Bye, Cappies.